Good afternoon, everyone. Muy buenas tardes todos, amigos, invitados, family, friends. My name is Cesar Mesquita, Director of Admissions here at Western Washington University. Thrilled to have you join us here on this Admitted Students Day, where you, admitted students, confirmed students for the fall of 2020, are joining us. We are actually joining you in your space, in your home, in your car, wherever you may be. And we're thrilled to be taking part of this afternoon's activities where we could showcase a bit more about Western so you could continue to explore everything that we have to offer and decide whether we are the best fit for you to join our community, for us to welcome you into our family. Ordinarily, we wouldn't be doing it this way, right? We would be welcoming you to campus. We would be walking around with you. I would be sharing some really bad jokes. These are not ordinary times. We would. I'm going to spare you from the extraordinary jokes that you would be having at these unprecedented times. But we're doing the best we can here to showcasing our campus community in this virtual space. I actually want to have a different kind of conversation instead of being so formal that this program usually lends itself. I want to have more of a conversation to give you a little bit of a fishable idea of the conversations that I had with my family, with my son, who's a senior, like many of you all here on the call today, and my wife Megan, with regards to Diego's college choice for this fall. He ended up choosing another school. So, as it turns out, being the son of this guy right here was just a little bit too much for him to handle, right? Nothing like having a dad being a director on campus to kind of curb to kind of cramp his style a little bit. So he ended up choosing another school, which turned out to be great. But it was an interesting dynamic for me to notice. Again, I'm wearing the two hats, right? As a dad, as well as a college administrator, as far as the conversations that were taking place. So here is my son, 2020 a high school graduate, like you all, like many here, 18 years old, absolutely looking forward and projecting what the future will be, and certainly anticipating that to a great degree, the world will go back to being normal. And I'm going to use air quotes over here, being normal in the fall. All of those anticipations, and that bravado and that sentiment that we will overcome this and this is not forever and the future will be here before you know it, and we're going to move forward and the world will be okay and we're going to go back to normal. Megan and I, my wife Megan and I, we are of course a bit more guarded, right? So we're the parents of three kids. We also have an 11th grader as an eighth grader at home. So parents, I know what you all are going through right now. Megan and I were a bit more guarded in asking all of the right questions associated with, well, what is housing going to be like? What is dining going to be like? What will living in that community be like in the fall? And certainly, what will the summer experience be like just the same with regards to orientation and class advising and move in and all of those kinds of questions? So there was this wonderful tension where we learned a lot more of his outlook and his likes and dislikes to many. I hope he was able to learn a little bit more about us as parents and the things that are important to us. And in that space, we were able to have some great conversations about expectations and about intentionality. Now, intentionality is a word that I really want us to process and think about here a little bit more, mindfully being intentional about the words that we choose, the plans that we make, and certainly the actions that we take going forward. Certainly, these unprecedented times, we've all become a lot more intentional in our own space, right? When you think about becoming much more intentional with understanding things associated with public health, with what deems an essential service, even engaging with environments such as this, a Zoom call, a live chat on Instagram or on YouTube. We've become so much more engaged with so many things that we didn't even think about just a few weeks ago. And now we're in this space where we're paying so much close attention about how we wash our hands, aspects of physical distancing, how we relate to one another, even our pets. Dogs are having the best time of their lives right now, right? Let's get real here. Dogs out there in the park, wow, they're just as happy as can be. But so here is this now, thinking about the intentionality with which you're going to be going through this college selection process, thinking about how you're going to ask the questions that are going to be important to you and your family as you start to explore the nuances of what will that college experience look like over the next few months and at the start of the fall term, which here at Western is going to be in late September. Here at Western, I can say that every administrator, I'm often left in awe of the work that my colleagues in student services, in the academic affairs, and the financial side of the house are filtering their work through first wondering and asking themselves, how will this affect the student experience? First and foremost, wondering how will this affect the living experience in a residence hall? How will this affect the academic experience in the classroom? How will this affect the dining experience? Or for students who may be housing or food insecure, what will be the opportunities and the resources available to them? Oftentimes, we leave those sessions with far more additional questions than answers. But it is amazing and oftentimes quite humbling. The right kinds of questions are being asked of our leadership and the kinds of information that we hope to glean from the state level, the federal level, certainly from the public health community, amongst many others. Decisions are still, many of them officially to be communicated out from the leadership of the university with regards to fall classes. There are plans and intentions for us to be back on campus for the fall, but nothing, of course, has been decided yet. We still need to wait a few more weeks to make those determinations. Remember of our community as we move forward down that path. We want to come back together as a community. We want to come back together as part of a broader family. In that regard, we extend that opportunity for you today to explore, to learn more, to hopefully see yourself as part of our group, our family, our Vikings here. And with that said, I certainly hope that you have an opportunity to ask your questions and learn from the wonderful group of representatives here today. And hopefully we can do the best we can in helping you learn more a bit about us as well. Do take care. And with that, I'm going to toss it over to Robert Stolzberg with our admission staff so we can launch into our question and answer session. Thank you so much, everyone. Please be well. Go Vikes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cesar. I just want to say hello and welcome to everybody who's watching at home. Welcome to our Admitted Student Day live question and answer session, and also welcome to my living room. My name is Robert Stolzberg. I'm an admissions counselor at Western Washington University. I'm also a Western graduate, class of 2014, and I'm going to be moderating our today. We are live and ready to answer your questions about confirming at Western. First and foremost, it's time to meet our panelists. I'm joined by representatives from all over the university who want to help you all make this big college decision. So I'm going to introduce our panelists one by one and let them tell you a little bit about themselves. So first we are going to hear from Rana.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Rana Biggs, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the director of the New Student Services and Family Outreach Office, and our office is responsible for coordinating new student orientation. I am also a proud alum of Western, class of 1993. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. And next we are going to hear from Megan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Bryson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the assistant director in the Academic Advising Center. Our office works with students initially during your first advising and orientation experience, and then we're here as a resource throughout that academic planning, major declaration journey. I am a Western alum. I completed my degree in 2005.
Great, thank you so much, Megan. We are happy to have you here. Next, we're going to hear from Chaya.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great afternoon. My name is Chaya. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a third-year student at Western here, and I am the info desk lead in the housing department, and I'll be helping you with all your housing-related questions today.
Thank you, Chaya, and thank you for being here. Finally, we're going to hear from Zoe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe. I am a financial aid counselor. I also work with scholarships, so I can answer questions in both of those areas. I am not yet a Western alumna, but I will be soon in June when I graduate with my master's.
Great, thank you, Zoe. And we are also joined by Cesar, who you heard from at the top of the session. So thank you everyone for being here, our panelists. We know that choosing university is a really big decision, and it's about that time of year that you all at home are going to be making that decision. So we're here to help with any questions you might have. We're taking questions right now on the live chat. So if you have anything on your mind, please feel free to send that in. A little bit of quick social media housekeeping before we get to the questions. You can follow us on Instagram at Our Western and at WWU Housing. You can also add us on Snapchat at WWU Admissions. Western students will be answering your questions on social media all day long. So if you are interested, you can definitely get connected to that. We're going to start with our first question here. It's for Cesar. The question is, what should I do if I am considering deferring my start at Western due to COVID-19?
Yeah, we certainly are being as flexible as we can in giving students ample opportunity to make the decision whether they're going to be enrolling in the fall or certainly for any kind of deferral. So one of the things that we did was extending the decision timeline. Instead of May 1, which traditionally had been the case, we've extended that to June 1. In fact, our friends in the honors program, as well as housing, have also extended some of their priority processing dates. So that's the first thing that I will point out. However, if you feel like still making the decision to defer for a subsequent term, we ask that you notify us as quickly as possible. So you just do a quick Google search on deferral WW, and you will come up with a link, and there's a brief form that we receive so we can process it accordingly. We do ask that students make a commitment, i.e. submit a enrollment confirmation for the subsequent fall. We will retain that, and then we will subsequently communicate with students as if they were admitted students or confirmed students for fall 2021. So it's a process that we used to have by standard anyway, but we're going to be far more flexible than we have in the past because of the circumstances surrounding COVID-19. So do a quick Google search on that, WW deferral, the form, fill it out, submit it, we'll process it, we'll be in touch.
Great, thank you so much, Cesar. My next question, and I'm going to throw this to, let's see, well, this is probably a Cesar type question as well. If I choose to take pass-fail grades in my last semester, will that have an impact on my admission to Western?
Not at all. And I would assume that most students over here have already been admitted, but if you have not yet, we certainly encourage you to submit any of the missing documents they still may be pending, but we will not penalize students for school districts or schools themselves having gone to a pass fail or a credit no credit system in order to mitigate some of the issues associated with COVID-19. So we will not penalize students for that. So no concerns there, not only for admissions purposes, but also in any of the scholarships that we award here through the Office of Admission. Students will not be hurt by any of those decisions taken at the district level.
Great, thank you, Cesar. We have a little bit of a lighter question now, and I'm going to throw this to Megan. What's the weather like in Bellingham?
Such a great question. Looking out the window, we got a little bit of cloud coverage right now, but it's been a beautiful week and a half. Lots of sunshine. Um, when I was a Western grad, I remember I transferred to Western, and I remember all of my friends telling me, "Oh, spring is the best in Bellingham because everything starts to bloom." Walking about all of the cherry blossom, just so many things. I'm missing being on campus right now, but loving being able to get outside and enjoy the weather. Spring is definitely beautiful in Bellingham. We will get a little bit of rain. That's normal. The ground needs it. Our plants need it. But spring is beautiful in Bellingham.
Great, thank you so much. And our next question is for Chaya, and this is a question that I've been getting a lot from the prospective students that I work with. When and how do I choose a roommate?
So you're able to choose a roommate through Roommate Manager within the My Housing portal. You can go on there and you can see potential matches, which are based upon your answer to the questionnaire that you fill out within your housing application. You can also message people inside the My Housing portal, introduce yourself in case you weren't able to fill out a bio. And it's a great way to meet new people and find a great person to live with for the whole academic term.
Great, thank you. And as a note as well, with our campus visits currently on hiatus right now, we do have residence hall tours available online as well. So if you weren't able to make it to campus at some point, in your college search process to check out the residence hall options and where you can live on campus, know that that's available online as well. We have another question. This one's going to go to Megan. How and when do students declare their major, and what does that look like for transfer students as well as first-year students?
Yeah, this is a really great question. Thanks for asking this one. It really is going to depend on the major. So Western has dozens and dozens of majors. The best way to find out about the majors is go to the catalog. Make sure that if you do a Google search that you're looking at the correct term catalog. Our 2020-21 catalog will post sometime in May, but right now you can look at the current term catalog. Our programs of study list all the majors and the minors, so you can find the one that you might be interested in, and it will tell you all about the major. It will tell you who to get in touch with about that major, as well as the declaration steps. And in those declaration steps is where you're going to find what you need to do to get into that major. Some majors will have prerequisites. Some might have an application process. Others have simply go into the office or contact the department and complete a piece of paper, a form. Recently, Western, the registrar's office has moved the major form process electronically, which is nice. But what's really important is that you connect with the academic department that's housing that major. Each department has an advisor that's there to support you along that way. And so getting in touch with that earlier than later is important. I would highlight it specifically for our students who are coming in with a higher amount of credit, whether that's AP, IB, running start credit of their major by the time they have completed 60 credits. And that includes anything you've completed coming into Western. And we really want you to be declared by 90 credits. So connect with those academic departments. I know that on the Admitted Student Day website, there's a number of academic departments who've done an excellent job creating some resources and presentations for you all about their majors. So connect with those, and that's going to help answer that question in terms of when do I apply, how do I apply, what do I need to do?
Wonderful, thank you. And just to reiterate the point of connecting with academic departments, professors and academic types love hearing from prospective students, hey, I'm really interested in the thing that you study and the thing that you teach and might want to study it myself, and they're going to hear from you. Okay, our next question is going to be for Rana. Do students get to know their professors well at Western?
I think so. I feel like I have so many students that talk about their great experience with working directly with faculty in so many different ways. And some of that starts really right at the beginning with coming through an orientation advising and class registration program, because there are faculty and staff advisors who are ready to work with students in small groups and one-on-one. Students who certainly have worked through our office or that I've known over the years who really appreciate the ability to connect with faculty, checking in with office hours, having small group conversations or individual appointments. Lots of students that are able to do wonderful areas of research directly with faculty, which is really amazing. And I think that's a highlight that Western has, is a great history of student faculty research. And we highlight actually some of that during our Fall Family Weekend program. And I feel like there's a very positive report.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question is for Zoe. Zoe, who do I talk to appeal a financial aid decision?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So you would actually talk to our main office. And I want to direct you to our website. It's kind of our first line of, there's a whole lot of information there. So it's going to be a really good resource for you. And it also will have all of our contact information. If you go to the main Western website, and then you go to the menu and click on Student Life and Services, you'll be able to find the link to financial aid and scholarships. So you'll be able to find our contact information there. Right now, our office is closed to walk-in students while campus is closed, but we do have students answering the phones. They're open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we do also have students answering email, so you can contact us in either of those ways.
Great, thank you. Our next question is for Chaya. The question is, can first-year students live off campus? And if you wouldn't mind elaborating, kind of what are the advantages and disadvantages of the different housing options that students have at Western?
Yeah, so students are more than welcome to live off campus if they desire. I would say one of the benefits of living on campus your first year, even though it's not mandatory, is the ability to feel safe and the ability to be able to interact with a community that's going through a lot of the same things you are as a first year student at Western. And as well with like the whole council, there's lots of events that take place that allow you to gain a community within the residence halls, which even if you then decide to move off campus your next year, you at least have that community that you've built and you're able to have the knowledge to like move forward and feel very good about your decision living on campus or off campus, whatever you decide.
Great, thank you. Next question is going to be for Rana. Rana, what on-campus work opportunities are available to first-year students?
Goodness, there could be a lot of work opportunities. There's a lot of offices that really get excited about hiring students from an amazing array of different backgrounds and different sort of content pieces for your job. Western has a great student employment center. Then there are jobs that are put. You could go on there now and look at the student employment center website and start to get a feel for some of the jobs that might be posted on campus. So you could do anything from working in the dining hall or for the catering office. You might be working in a particular office and assisting with answering phone calls and greeting people. You could be doing some training, peer advising. I mean, there's a wide array of positions on campus for students. And truly there's genuine excitement to have students working in the office, and there's something that's really, I think, very special about having a peer that's able to help a peer, and for a student to be able to support another student through a process and share what they've learned and be able to mentor someone else is wonderful. So our students have a lot of great training who are in the positions that they have, and when you look long term and you think about particularly working on campus, it's great skill building. And the philosophy that Western has, if I could talk about that in just a moment, the philosophy that Western really has about student employment is it really is paraprofessional development. So it goes beyond, a lot of those positions go beyond having a job and getting paid for something to do, but there's really a lot of personal and professional development that comes from supervisors and working in any given context. And I think that kind of nurturing environment it makes those positions even more valuable going forward after you graduate too. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Rana. And that's, to the paraprofessional piece on these being professional jobs that are available for students and opportunities for professional development. A lot of our admissions staff, myself included, got our start in the admissions world working in student positions at Western before becoming professionals after we graduated from college. I think that's an experience that a lot of folks who work, as professionals at Western has. And that just speaks really well to what we're able to do as a university and what we're able to provide for students in terms of professional development. And Ron, a follow-up question, we have another student employment question. Are first-year students at Western able to work for Western's newspaper and magazines?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure I know the answer to that. If there's someone else on the call that on the panel that knows that, if not, we may need to do a little follow-up.
All right, well, we will follow up with you in the comments for the question asker about that one and make sure to get you a good, satisfying answer there. I have another question that I'm going to throw to multiple people here because I think this is a really good one. We haven't heard from Megan in a while, so maybe we'll start with Megan. What is something that makes Western's community special?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think it's something that is referenced in the question. I think it's community. We hear over and over again, from students, from alum, from all sorts of constituents that the community that is built within the Western experience, whether that's within your major, whether that's within a student employment. By the way, Rana, you knocked it out of the park there on that answer. I fully support Rana's answer about student employment experiences. The experience that students get with research, with clubs, with activity. Um, the intramural sports, all sorts of different ways. I think that niche that students can find, and really the personal enrichment that comes from that, lifelong relationships are built. And I think Western, being that we have a strong student population, but at the same time, students are able to find that community, multiple communities in many cases, and really hold on to those.
Great, thank you. And Cesar, anything that you'd like to add about the community experience and what makes Western a special community?
Absolutely. I'll just add that the celebration of the welcoming and the embracing of the individual, recognizing that we as individuals are what makes the community. We make the whole. The whole is made up of the sum of individual parts, right? When you think about it in those terms. And I have absolutely felt wonderfully embraced by so many communities, right? I think that the way that was phrased there, so many communities here within Western, Bellingham, Whatcom County, and the Northwest Washington region. It is indeed about embracing and welcoming the individual, recognizing that they will contribute to the whole. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We have another question. This one's going to go to Chaya. Do students need a car at Western?
I would say that it's definitely not something that you require. We do have a bus pass that's integrated into like our tuition and fees for a very small charge, but you're able to go all the way around campus. And all the residence halls are close enough to campus that it's like a 7-minute bus ride to get to class every morning. And it's really easy to use, and they come every 15 minutes. So I'd definitely say you can use the WTA transportation, and it's not required to have a car. But if you do want one, you're more than welcome to.
Great, thank you. And a shout out for anyone who likes to get around riding their bicycle. That's something that's a great option in Bellingham and at Western as well. I think every time I go out on a bike ride, I find a new bike lane or a new bike path that's recently just popped up in Bellingham. So it's certainly growing as a cycling community as well, if that's a way that you like to get around without a car. All right, the next question is for Megan. Megan, do transfer students need to take any placement tests at Western?
Another great question. It depends is the answer. So one of the placement assessments that students might most frequently run into is the math placement assessment. And so for our transfer students, for any students coming in who intend to take a course that requires a math prerequisite, that could be a math course, that could be a computer science course or a geology course. They will need to take the math placement assessment or show some demonstration of college level placement into that course. So most students do end up taking the ALEX math placement assessment. I know admissions puts out a lot of great information about the ALEX math placement assessment. Our testing center also has information on their website about the ALEX math placement assessment. That is a fully remote assessment, and it's been remote for about a year now. So students will take that practice assessment first, and then they will complete it in a proctored environment using the webcam on your computer. You'll download an app called HonorLock. The directions are all really, really helpful. The other placement assessment you might interact with is if you intend to take Spanish. And our understanding from the modern and classical languages is they have already are already offering that in a remote way, so students can take that online. Those are the big ones that I think of. If there's other things that come up, we'll definitely make sure to add those in the comment section as well.
Great, thank you. Our next question is a housing and dining question for Chaya. Chaya, where can incoming students learn about meal plans and other housing costs?
So we have a financial page on our housing website. It's like financial information, and that's where you'll be able to see all room and board rates. And we can link that in our YouTube comments later so that you can access that. Then we can also link our dining page, and that's where you'll be able to see all the dining menus as well as the meal plans that we offer, which you'll be able to choose from for your on-campus living next year.
Great, thank you. Our next question is going to go back to Rana. What resources does Western have for LGBTQ plus students?
Oh, lots of great resources. There's a nice balance between student resources and professional support. Most recently, you may or may not be familiar, but very recently, Western established an LGBTQ plus director position on campus, which the LGBTQ director is Langley, and they serve a wide array of students, faculty, and staff, and offer support in a variety of ways. There's some great student activities and clubs within the Viking Union area. So in the Student Advocacy and Identity Resource Center, you could get connected with the Queer Resource Center, and there's a handful of other clubs. So it's a really nice balance of having both some student engagement pieces, but places where peers can connect to one another, and also having some professional support. So if there's a place where someone would need some advocacy or some outreach to support how they're navigating Western with faculty and staff, there's some wonderful resources. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And for anyone watching at home who wants to see a multimedia little glimpse at the LGBTQ plus community at Western, you can check out the Pride Celebration video on the Admitted Students page as well. Our next question is, oh gosh, I'm going to throw this to Rana again. Are there swim clubs or a team at Western? I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, but I'll give you first crack at it.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's well over 200 clubs and organizations, and there's some wonderful intramurals and competitive groups. Someone on the call may know that very, very specifically. I'm not sure off the top of my head, though.
Yeah, do we have anyone here who can speak specifically to swimming teams or swim clubs?
I can. I'm aware of a swim club that it takes place in the WW Rec Center. It's not a part of a team, but they do have practices towards the evening, various times throughout the week, and they have a schedule. So that would be something that you might want to check out on the Rec Center page, and we can also link that in the comments as well.
Wonderful, thank you. And follow up, I'm going to go to Chaya with this one. How do I find out if Western has a club that I'm interested in?
We can also link in the comments the page with the different club descriptions, but you can just even if you Googled WWU clubs and organizations, there's a big page where you can go through all the different categories and see what you'd be interested in and read bios about them. And you can try out as many as you want when you start here, continue them or don't continue them. They're all there to help you in your adjustment starting at Western.
Wonderful, thank you. And just to echo that recommendation of trying out clubs and sticking with the ones that you like, but giving yourself the opportunity to try a broad variety of things. I was pretty involved in the social dance club for my very first quarter of college at Western, and then for quite a long time didn't do anything with that. And when I eventually got to the age where all of my friends were getting married, it really came in handy to have been involved in that way. So just another recommendation for trying out a broad swath of activities. We have a follow-up question on the car conversation from a little bit earlier. Chaya, how can I learn about parking fees if I want to bring my car to campus?
So you can apply for a parking pass. There is different locations on campus that there's a wait list for, and different lots on campus. And then there's also a different opportunity for students who might want to park a little bit further off campus, which is in the Lincoln Creek Park and Ride. You would want to contact the student business office in concern to getting parking permits.
Wonderful, thank you. And Chai, we're going to stick with you for this next question about getting around in transportation. I think it's really natural and understandable that movement and going places is on people's minds today. So Chai, how do I store my bicycle on campus?
So all the residence halls on campus have bike storage, whether that be inside, which is more protected, or outside. Every single building offers that because we know riding around campus on a bike is something a lot of Western students enjoy doing. So we've definitely made that a priority so that everybody can feel free to bring their bike up to campus and utilize it.
Great, thank you. And so our next question is, can I try out for any non-intramural sports, or do I need to be recruited? Cesar, I'm going to toss this one to you. What's that look like for students getting involved in our varsity athletics? I'm not hearing Cesar on my end here. So we're going to go to Chai. Can you speak to that, to what getting involved in athletics at Western looks like?
It's something that everybody can get involved in. It depends on your skill ability. If you're a part of like a high school sport and you're very good at that sport, there are teams here that practice and are very serious about sports activities. It's not something that I know a lot about. It would be something that you might want to check out on the rec center page to get involved in those intramural sports. I don't know if anybody else on the panel has more information about that, but that is about what I am aware of.
Yeah, and thank you, Chaya. And on the subject of our NCAA Division II varsity sports, each team and each coach has a little bit different of a way that they like to take walk-on students. One of the advantages of us being a school with Division II athletics rather than a Division I university is that our teams do tend to be fairly open to walk-on students. It can vary a little bit from team to team. So the best thing that you can do is contact the athletic department and contact the coaches for the sports that you are specifically interested in trying out for. Okay, our next question is, what are some ways that Western students get involved in the Bellingham community off of campus? Megan, will start with you and maybe go around to a couple of others, but Megan, what do you think?
That's a great question. I think one, Western's really involved in the Bellingham community. So you might find naturally that because you're involved in the Western community, you're connected with in different ways, whether that's a service learning class. Many of Western's classes have a service learning component. A great example of that is our Compass to Campus programs, which allow students to gain experience in the classroom working with our K-12 system. There's all sorts of different community activities. Bellingham, based on our location, right? We have the water, we have the mountains, and everything in between. And so we know many students enjoy heading up to Baker, whether that's for a fall, spring, or summer hike, or heading up for skiing in the winter season. So the Bay provides lots of ways that students can engage in water sports or water activities as well. Yeah, those are just some that come to mind. I'm sure others have ideas.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Zoe, do you have anything that you'd like to add or anything that stands out in terms of what community involvement in Bellingham looks like?
Yeah, I think that one of the great things about Bellingham is that it's such it's not too big and it's not too small. So I think it's really easy to get around using the bus pass or a car if you choose to drive. It's easy to get around. It's easy to get involved. I mean, students work off campus, they volunteer off campus, they take dance classes, they do sports. There's so many different things to do here, and they're so easy to access. So I think that's one of the best things about being a college student in Bellingham.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And something that I love to impress on the prospective students that I work with is college is a really new and unique and wonderful opportunity for many ways. And for most, if not all of you, it's going to be the first time in your life that you get to decide where it is you want to live and what kind of community you want to be involved in, not just on campus, but also in terms of the town or the city that you live in. And that's something that I encourage students to keep in mind and consider when they're deciding what university is the right fit for them. Our next question is going to go to Megan. Megan, the question is, can everyone take music classes, and is there a pep band?
Yes, to that mostly. We do have a pep band. They're super fun to watch. Two of our student advisors in our office are in the pep band. I enjoyed watching them during basketball games. So yes, there's a pep band to get involved with. There are some music classes that students can take. There are also many classes that are within the music department that are only for students who've been admitted and who have auditioned to be a part of the music program. So I would encourage students to check those out. Our Class Finder is our search tool for classes that gives some information if there's any restrictions on some of those music classes. Also encourage you to reach out directly to the music department to learn more, share some of the interests of what you might be interested in, and they can give some recommendations on what is offered that might be a good fit for you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. And Megan, we're going to keep this next question on you. The question is, how do GURs work at Western? And the tag question that I'm going to add on to that is, could you also explain what GUR stands for?
Happy to do that. Western general university requirements, also known as GURs. Typically, students in their first year are taking general university requirements. We find that many students who've come in with transfer credit, whether that's AP, IB, college in the high school, or running start, have fulfilled some of those general university requirements. And during your orientation experience, our advisors are going to help you understand what you've taken and how those fulfill some general university courses. GURs are really what make Western the liberal arts education that it is, where you can take a huge span of courses across the institution: communications, quantitative and symbolic reasoning, social sciences, natural sciences, comparative gender, multicultural studies, really a broad range of courses that allow students to kind of have a more holistic degree that complements really well with their major, which is the focus area of their academics. And many employers appreciate that about Western. We hear over and over again that students have a holistic offering to their education because of those general university requirements.
Great, thank you. And we actually have a follow-up on the GUR conversation. What are some of the most common or popular or even just most fun or interesting general university requirements that students can take at Western?
It's a really hard question to answer because there's hundreds of them. I don't know that I have one particular that jumps out or stands out to me. I think what the beauty of GURs is they really span. So you could take, a large psychology 101 class, or it's a large lecture class, or you could take a small women, gender, sexuality studies class. It's a very small, 25-person class. So you have that ability. What we encourage students to do is, as they're navigating GURs, find something that looks interesting, and read the description, get a sense for what that looks like. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to put in a plug for our our FIGS program, which is our first year interest groups. You'll learn more about the FIGS program. It's really designed for students who are coming to Western with less than 45 credits. A FIG is a cluster of courses where there's typically 2 general university requirements plus a seminar course. So you're taking the 2 GUR courses with other students, and then that seminar course is you and only 24 other students. You're immediately building community. You have really high student to faculty connections, and we see that students who participate in FIG classes or clusters in their first quarter outperform students who don't. They typically get stronger grades, and again, build that community. And strongly recommend them. It's also a great way to navigate through those general university requirements.
Great, thank you, Megan. And we have another academic question, so I'm just going to keep peppering them at you. Megan, what happens if I want to change my major in the future?
Oh, that's such a great question. You can do it. It's okay. Changing your major is fine. What we want to make sure that you're talking to an advisor. Our advisors can help students navigate what that looks like. So um, we see a lot of students who come into Western thinking they want to major in something and then realize the many other options that you can major in. There's classes that students are often telling us, I didn't even know that existed. I can really study this. Yes, you can. And so we can help students figure out if they were going one pathway, what is it that they've taken that might be able to apply in a different direction. We have some great tools. Western uses the DegreeWorks system that allows us to look at what students have completed and what is left depending on what their academic interest areas are. So it's really a great way to track progress in a major. So yes, you can change your mind. We encourage students, if they're thinking about that, though, to talk with an advisor. We encourage at least a quarterly advisor conversation to make sure you're on track.
Wonderful, thank you. And you heard it here. Keep in touch with your advisors. Keep in touch with the resources who are here to help you while you are at Western. Our next question is for Zoe. Zoe, will deferring enrollment impact financial aid packages?
That is actually a really good question I haven't gotten recently. Deferring enrollment, like say you're deferring, from fall 2020 to fall 2021, you're going to be using a different FAFSA. So the FAFSA for 2020 to 2021 for next year uses tax information from 2018. The FAFSA for the next year is going to be using tax information from 2019. And so while the types of aid and the awards that we have available, they do change year to year, some, not as drastically yet that I've seen, but maybe your family's income changed from 2018 to 2019, and so your FAFSA information is different, and therefore your aid package may be different. So that's the largest impact that I can see right now. If you have any other questions, you could definitely contact our office.
Let me add a little bit to that, though. There are a lot of scholarships that are awarded through the Office of Admissions rather, and those will not be affected. There may be some students who are awarded outside scholarships, or what we call donor scholarships. So these are donors who award dollars to the university so that we can then in turn award to incoming students. By and large, those amounts are relatively small. The scholarships awarded by admissions and the aid offered by financial aid are going to be the more substantial monies that students will receive. And as always pointed out, it will depend on the tax year and how those income and asset information may change from year to year. So that may make a difference on the aid award. For scholarships awarded by admissions, by and large, they will not be affected if a student defers for the following year.
Yes, thank you for adding that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Cesar. Zoe, we have another question for you on the financial side of things. Who should students talk to regarding referrals for department-specific scholarships?
Yeah, that's another good question. So for incoming students, the majority of scholarships available will be directly through the admissions office as part of the admissions process. So they're considered for admissions scholarships when they submit their application for Western. If they are interested in receiving departmental scholarships, I think some of those are awarded automatically based off of the student's admissions application. A few of them may be awarded, like I've been working with a student who was awarded a scholarship through music and they had to audition. So I think those are probably the most common types of departmental scholarships awarded to incoming students, would be maybe like in arts and music, where maybe students have to apply for them directly with that department. Most departmental scholarships actually require students to be in a major in that area. So, but I think if any incoming students have more specific questions about a department that they're interested in, I would recommend that they contact that department directly and see if they have any information or any available scholarships for incoming students.
Great, thank you, Zoe. Our next question is going to be for Megan. Megan, can students of all majors participate in education abroad programs, and how can they get involved?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we just learned this earlier this week from the Education Abroad office that they have created even more robust resources for students about education abroad options. So anybody can do education abroad. They have all sorts of resources for students to learn about the places that students can travel, and where you can study abroad. The length of time really varies too. Students can fulfill general university credit, elective credit. Some courses for majors are offered in an education abroad opportunity. So all sorts of different opportunities for students. I would encourage you, if it's something you're interested in, to check out the Education Abroad office. They've also, they usually offer weekly education abroad workshops, daily education abroad workshops. Those are being offered virtually for students now. So you can check those out. and learn more about those opportunities. I will say, hearing from their folks earlier this week that they encourage students to plan a year in advance for studying abroad, just because of the various planning elements that are required for that. So great opportunity. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, study abroad
wanted-
is incredible. And oh, go right ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to jump in really quick. I agree with scheduling a year in advance, especially for scholarship purposes for Ed Abroad. There are a lot of education abroad scholarships, both through Western. There's a few through Western, and then there's a bunch through external private programs. And usually the application period is quite a few months, like 6 to 12 months ahead of the date that the student would be leaving. So we recommend it's never too early to start planning your education abroad experience.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of really wonderful education abroad opportunities at Western, and as has been mentioned, starting early is the best way to make it work for you and make sure you get the experience that you're looking for. Our next question, I'm not 100% sure if this is a Rana or a Megan question, so I guess we're going to start with Rana, and then Megan, you can jump in if you have anything to add. How can students know if they need to take the math placement exam?
I'm going to directly volley that to
I'll
Megan.
take it. I got it, Rana.
Fair enough.
Yeah, math placement assessment. Really great question. The assessment center, or excuse me, testing center has some great resources. There's a whole section that identifies exceptions to the math placement assessment. Keep in mind that if you've taken courses, it needs to be at the college level. So if you've, let's say, taken a pre-calc or calc course in high school, it needs to be something that's at the college level for it to count. Looking at all sorts of different scores. So the Alex Math Placement Assessment website is going to be your resource for that. Advisors can also talk with you through that process. Sending transcripts is going to be really important because if you are transferring in any kind of math credit, whether it's counting as a direct equivalent or it's counting as something that we're able to use as a prerequisite, it's going to be important that it's on your transcript. So making sure that you're sending final transcripts when those are available is going to allow for as more of a seamless approach to that as well. So our office also, I should say, we will be for all students, once you've confirmed to attend, students are enrolled in a virtual, it's called the Virtual Advisor. It's a Canvas course that we've designed for you all that provides all sorts of information around advising, course planning, general university requirements, math advising, including the placement assessment if you need to take it or not. So lots of resources to come once you've confirmed. More in the June-ish timeframe is when you'll be receiving access to that Virtual Advisor Canvas course.
Great, thank you, Megan. And Megan, next question is also for you. How do credits from AP, IB, and Running Start coursework transfer to Western?
Great question. The Office of Admissions has a website that includes a transfer, a chart essentially on all AP and IB credit. So what you're able to do is look up the exam that you've taken along with the score that you receive and find out if it counts for credit and what kind of credit, how many credits it's worth. In addition, once you've sent your transcripts and Western's Office of Admissions has articulated your credit, we'll be able to help you identify that on your transfer equivalency report, which is something you have access to in your Western portal down the road.
Let me add a little quick something over there about students who are planning to take any of the AP exams or IB exams here at the end of the year. Please be on the lookout for information from the International Baccalaureate Organization, IBO, as well as from the College Board associated with these spring term exams. So things are changing because of the circumstances around COVID-19. So please do reach out to your AP teacher or directly to the College Board to see how those changes are going to be affecting testing where you are.
Great, thank you both. And on the, particularly with the Running Start transfer credit side of things, one resource that I really encourage students to check out and can really help with planning and answering some of these questions is we have a really great tool on our website called the Transfer Course Equivalency Guide. Probably easiest way to find it is to Google WWU Transfer Course Equivalency Guide. Maybe we can get that link down in the comments as well. But it's a really simple tool to use. You select your school from a drop-down menu. You select your course in the drop-down menu. So maybe you took Chem 121 at Whatcom Community College. You can just click on that and it'll show you what equivalent course does that transfer as at Western, what are the credits you get for it, does that count as any of those general university requirement courses. So that's also a really great way to be planning ahead and seeing what sort of credit you can expect. Megan, next question for you is, how are grades calculated and reported at Western, and what is considered passing?
Ooh, that's a really great question. I think some of this we're going to probably do some follow-up in the comments around grading. But Western's catalog, we have a section in the catalog that outlines the grading system. So it's going to help you understand how the grading structure works. This current term, Western has defaulted to a pass, no pass structure. As a default, if students would like to receive a letter grade, they can ask their professor for that up till June 5th. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And with pass, no pass grades, those don't get calculated into the GPA. However, the letter grades do. It's yet to be determined what fall quarter will look like. Our assumption at this point is that we'll be going back to a letter graded system, but more to come there. But if you're interested in learning how Western's letter graded system works, I definitely recommend you check out the university catalog, and there's a grade section in the academic policy section. I think we can also probably link to that in comment section.
Great, thank you. This next question is going to be a little bit of a group effort. I'm going to start off with Chaya, and then maybe we can go around the room if anyone has anything else to add. But the question is, does Western have a bike or e-scooter share?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I actually think that if you went to the AS Outdoor Activity Center, they might have like a bike loaning program. They also have other programs which are to do with biking, where you can go with like a group, and there's like kind of what you would call excursions, but different ways to get involved with sports, even kayaking. That would be one resource that I would say for like renting out a bike. Other than that, I don't know anything more about that. Other panelists might know more about that.
Anyone else want to jump in and talk about how to get a temporary bicycle or a scooter, if anyone has experience with that? I really will say, just a shout out for the Outdoor Center. You can definitely rent a bike through the Outdoor Center. You can rent a lot of other outdoor gear through the Outdoor Center as well. A number of years back, I rented cross-country skis and poles and boots for a whole weekend. I think it cost me $12 or $15. So if you don't have the outdoor gear for the outdoor activity that you're looking to try out, Outdoor Center is definitely a great resource for you where you can get bikes, among other things. Okay, this next question is for Zoe. Zoe, is there a way to apply for a lot of scholarships at once?
The unfortunate answer is no, not yet. We are working on it currently. At the moment, like I said before, for incoming students, most of the scholarships that are available for you come directly through the admissions office. So in a way, by applying for Western, you are applying for all of the admissions scholarships that could be available to you at once. There are a few Western scholarships that incoming students can apply for individually. I would check out the scholarship website. It's going to be probably the best resource for finding those. They'll probably be there's a few under like incoming students, and then it'll be under other. If you go down to that menu item, there will be a few scholarships that incoming students can apply for, but in general, they need to be applied for individually. As I'm saying this, I'm realizing there is an exception. Once you are declared in your major, there are some colleges and departments at Western that do have one application for all of their scholarships. However, each college and department has their own process. So there are some where you would need to apply for each of their scholarships individually. And there are some, like the College of Business, for example, I believe Woodring also has one application for all of their scholarships. So that's kind of, that's the resource I have for that answer.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, Zoe. And to reiterate, the Scholarship Center, the online database of scholarships that are available through Western, really wonderful resource. I often find myself encouraging students to take a look at it. So definitely something that's worth checking out. All right, we have one last question. This is going to go to Rana. Rana, does Western know if the WOOT trips will occur this year, the Western Outdoor Orientation trips? What's the status on that?
Great question. Similar to what some others have said about some other areas, I would recommend going directly to the Western Orientation Outdoor Orientation Trip site, which is hosted through the Outdoor Center. As far as I know, some of those trips are, there's a desire to have those planned, and there's also some things that may be under decision considering the current circumstances of COVID-19. So I don't have the most up-to-date information, but I would recommend, depending on what you're interested in, because some of those trips have typically, they've occurred at different times of both the summer and the fall prior to classes starting. So I'm not sure their status of if they've made decisions about a lot of those trips yet.
Great, thank you. So that's about it for our question and answer session here today. If you all have any more questions, feel free to text them to us. You can reach us at 360-966-8155. That's the number for texting us your questions. One more time, that's 360-966-8155. I want to extend a just huge thank you to all of our panelists who've been here helping us answer questions today. Big thank you as well to all the prospective students and families out there who've been submitting the questions. We couldn't have done this without you, so thank you so much for your participation. And just if I could leave you with anything after our time here together today, we are here to help. We're here to be a resource for you all in your college decision making process. I know it can be hard not being able to visit the campuses in person and be able to check them out in the way that you would like to, but just know that even though our campus might not be available to visit right now, all of us are still here. All of us are still working hard to make sure that you all have the best information and make the most informed choice for your future education as possible. To wrap things up, our Western students are going to continue to answer your questions on social media. That's on Instagram at Our Western and at WWU Housing, as well as on Snapchat at WWU Admissions. Next thing we've got for you all on the docket today is a live virtual tour of Western's campus with Nate. So I'm going to have Nate take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. Once again, I just want to say welcome to our virtual tour here of campus. We're going to be taking a new virtual tour starting here. As you're looking on the screen, you can kind of see the south end of campus, and we'll end kind of on the north end as well. So I'll start off with introductions. My name is Nate Gaines, and I'm a senior from right here in Bellingham, and originally from a little small town called Rennes, Georgia. Moved here when I was 16 years old, a sophomore in high school, to Bellingham. I'm also a fourth-generation Western student. So my dad went to Western, my dad's dad, my grandpa went to Western, and then my grandpa's mom, my great-grandma went to Western as well. So I saw it fit that I should probably go to Western also. I major in human services with a minor in education and social justice. Also a part of a lot of different clubs. One of those clubs is a professional development club called AKSI that we have here on campus, where we talk about various professional development skills, and we learn how to do resumes and LinkedIn workshops and all that good stuff. Then also have two other on-campus jobs as well. My other on-campus job is at the Alumni Association, where I get to sit at the front desk and manage the alumni inbox, and also work for various events that the Alumni Association puts on. And then also I am an Associated Student Senator as well for our associated students here on campus. And then I also want to acknowledge as well, we will have various opportunities for you to ask questions as well. So throughout the tour, I'll kind of remind you as well, if you see something or have a question about a building or anything like that here on campus, feel free to text that in, and then I'll be able to get that and then answer those questions for you as well. So if you look at the screen right now, we're looking at the Wade Awesome, and we are now testing the audio to see if we are good to go now. Awesome. Alrighty, so sorry, we want to apologize for that. Some of the technical difficulties, I guess that's one of the things we have to deal here with having it virtually. So I want to kind of reiterate back to the Waking Recreation Centers, what we're looking at right now. Back in 2003, when the rec center was built, the university asked students what were 3 things that they wanted to see out of their new rec center. And number 1 was natural lighting. As you can look around, there's lots of different windows. We have a lot of cloudy days sometimes here in Bellingham, so they wanted as much natural light as possible, which is super awesome. So we have windows going all around the facility here, which is super cool. Kind of gives you that green and outdoor vibes to the rec center. And number 2, they wanted outdoor activities brought inside. So we do have a rock climbing wall when you walk in to the rec center. We also have an indoor pool and hot tub that can fit over 30 people, which is super cool. And then also we have a volleyball court, a basketball court, and then also a track that goes around those courts as well. And number 3, they wanted an abundance of cardio machines. So upstairs we have dozens of cardio machines, and that's because you will never have to wait. That's because you'll never have to wait, to use those machines, which is why we have so many, which is super, super cool. And then also, a cool thing you'll hear about throughout the tour is a lot of these things are free with a fee. So that basically means that all you have to do is come into the rec center, swipe your Western ID, and you can use this facility anytime that it is open. You pay for it within your tuition, but it's a great thing that all students have on their tuition balance and stuff like that, which is super awesome. But like I said, all you have to do is walk into the building, swipe your Western ID, and you can use this facility anytime that it's open. And normally it opens around 7 a.m., 7 to 8 a.m., and it closes sometimes as late as 11 p.m., which is super great. So it kind of fits to everyone's schedule. I want to pause for a second. We do have a question here. One of the questions is, are we going to see the inside of a dorm rooms today? Yes, so no, but there are 4 new, so if you look at your videos, there's 4 new videos right here on this page where you can check out the inside of those dorms there. So to answer your question. And then also I want to mention at this stop as well, we do have lots of different sports options. I think sports options, we kind of talked about it throughout the panel as well. But some of our sports options, we have varsity sports, which include boys and girls basketball. We also have volleyball. Volleyball was top ranked in the nation the last 2 years, which is super, super cool. So it's pretty fun to watch those games. We'll see where they play those games in a little bit. And then also we have club sports as well. So those are student-funded sports, and those include, we have baseball. There's also boys and girls lacrosse, and a few others as well. And then there's intramural sports that happen right here in the recreation center and in our other gym as well. And intramural sports are basically a fun way of getting out and being involved with your friends. You can create a team with as many people as you want, and it's just a great way, like I said, of getting out, getting involved. We have a couch league where you can sit on your couch and play video games competitively. We also have volleyball, and there's also various basketball that you can play as well. So a whole bunch of different fun activities for students. And our next stop for the day is Academic West. A lot of us call it ADUB for short. And connected via Skybridge on the left side, we do have Academic East. And in Academic West, in that building, there's no actual departments, academic departments or anything like that. It's mostly just classroom space. There's a whole bunch of different lab space, computer labs, places where you can print off papers and stuff like that as well. I enjoy being in that building because I get to people watch and stuff like that. When the sun is out, you can watch people doing all kinds of various activities here on the south end of campus because of all the windows, which is super cool. And then connected via Skybridge, we do have Academic East. And a lot of us call that the brain sciences building. So we have behavioral neuroscience. There's also psychology. On the bottom floor, we have a speech and hearing clinic that's open to the public, which is super cool. It's a great way of getting shadowing hours if you're into that field as well. Like I said, it's open to the public, which is super cool that we have that right here on campus. And now we're looking at the communications facility. In this building, this large building here, there's a whole bunch of different majors and departments in here. I always like to say there's a whole bunch of random different majors and departments located in this building. We have the communications major. We also have computer science, journalism, astronomy, and physics as well. So that's all located in this building. Like I said, it's a whole bunch of different random majors and departments. There's also computer labs for computer science students and also regular students as well. And then also in this building is where our 3 main publications are located here on campus. So we have the Western Front. It's kind of like the newspaper of campus. Some people call it the New York Times of Western, which is super cool. And then also we have our Clips On magazine, which is our quarterly magazine that's put out. They have a theme for each quarter, which is super awesome. In one of the magazines, every magazine had a poster of one of the nearby mountains, Mount Baker, inside of it, which was super cool. So I had that, in my bedroom, which is super awesome. And then also we have our Planet magazine, which is the only environmental science magazine in the nation, undergraduate environmental science magazine in the nation, which is super cool. And a great thing about these magazines and all publications as well, you actually don't have to be a part of the journalism department to be a part of those publications. If you have a desire to write, or you want to, tell a story or something like that, all you have to do is sign up for an entry-level journalism class, and then you have the opportunity of being a part of those publications. So it's open for all students, which is an incredible opportunity. And also want to pause again to answer a question we have. Are there weekly events at the Recreation Center? And there are weekly events at the Recreation Center. We have, I didn't mention this, but we have various different classes, anything from aerobics to yoga classes. And if you have a desire to teach those classes, or if you have a history of doing that, you can also teach those classes as well. Sometimes the Rec Center has late night at the Rec Center as well. They'll have, maybe like a dance, or places where you can explore, or maybe like a scavenger hunt or something like that. So the Rec Center is always putting on various events in there. And then also we have a lot of different ethnic students clubs here on campus, and sometimes they'll hold their heritage dinners in the Recreation Center, which is super cool. And then also even we have of various club fairs, and then also sometimes career fairs located in the Recreation Center. So it's a multi-purpose building, not just for working out or being active. There's a whole bunch of different academic and social things that go on in there as well. Great question. And then also want to answer the next question as well before we go to our next stop. Are students allowed to leave campus whenever they want? They are, yes. It is an open campus, so you can come and go as you please. Like I said, there's several different entrances to the campus. Like I said, it's very, very open. You can't really park in the middle of campus. A lot of the parking lots are on the outskirts of campus. But like I said, you can come and go to campus as much as you please. So another great question. And now we're looking at the environmental science building. And inside of this building here, it houses our Huxley College of the Environment, which is the oldest environmental college in the nation, which is super cool, established back in 1969. And then also our geology department is located in this building as well. And the cool thing about this building is also doubles as a natural history museum, which is super awesome. So if you walk in, there's a whole bunch of different rocks and fossils on display. I took a geology lab in this building as well, and I used to quiz myself on all the rocks that were on the walls on my way to class, the days that I had a rock quiz or anything like that. So like I said, it's a very, very cool and unique building. If you go directly inside of the building here, you can't really see the entrances from where we're looking at it. But if you go directly inside and look up, and it's actually a replica of the human heart, which is super cool. So it's really cool to go in there and just to check out this very unique building. And a cool fact, it actually used to be the most environmental friendly building here on campus. And so a couple people figured that out. And so they stuck some solar panels on the top there, so it's kind of up to code, which is super funny. But yeah, this is our environmental studies building. We're going to move on to our next stop. And now we are looking at Arts and Hall. Arts and Hall is home to our political science departments. We also have anthropology, women and gender studies, and political science. I think it's a political science as well. And so like I said, all of those are housed in this building. A cool thing about our poli-sci department, I always like to say, is Jesse Moore is one of our notable alums who's actually from that was a part of that political science department, and he was a speechwriter for the Obama administration. So they have a lot of different speaking series that come out of that department and school as well. He came back for the Martin Luther King Day program that we had here on campus to interact with students and just encourage students to keep striving, and just he also just makes a lot of he's really good at just connecting with students and different things like that, which is super awesome. So a lot of these departments have those opportunities for students to stay connected with the alumni and various departments. So, and also want to mention as well, a cool thing about this campus is you're no more than 1 or 2 minutes away from caffeine or food, whether you're in the middle of campus, which we are right now, or the south end or the north side. So right here, I want to look at what we're looking directly at right now is the atrium, and that houses our on-campus Starbucks. We also have a little market in there as well, where you can get a sandwich on to go, or or a drink or something like that. There's also a cool little fireplace area where you can sit down and eat. And then also we have a Subway and a pizza place in there where you can kind of design your own pizza. And before we go to the next stop, I kind of want to answer the questions here as well. Is this building where marine biology is? This is not where marine biology is. That will be just a couple buildings away. So we'll be there probably in just a few seconds. It's actually directly across from this building, if that helps you. Great question. Awesome. And we're looking at Parks Hall right now. This is home to our business and economics, a lot of them called the CBE College, College of Business and Economics. Inside this building, there's a lot of different classrooms, and a lot of those classrooms are modeled after a boardroom style. Kind of gets you in that business setting, which is super cool. A cool thing about our CBE College is they put on a quarterly career fair, and that's a great opportunity of getting internships on the fly. And actually the rule is they cannot come to campus unless they're looking for interns. So lots of cool businesses from around the state and local businesses as well are coming to campus to look for interns. So I highly suggest you take advantage of that. We've had several, friends and coworkers out of the admissions office as well get internships with Amazon. Some people get internships with Microsoft, and then also there's a whole bunch of different local businesses where you can intern just 5 minutes away from campus as well. And like I said, that's a lot of those career fairs are housed in the Wade King Recreation Center where we started our tour. And now we're looking at the biology building here. Here in the biology building, there's not a lot of classrooms located in here. It's all just lots of different lab space, which is super great. You'll learn about it, I'm sure, a lot throughout the day here on our admitted student day, but we do run on the General University Requirement System, and that basically means that you have to take a whole bunch of different classes, and you can pick which classes you want to take as well, but you have to take a couple science classes and a couple history classes and so forth. And so a lot of your science classes actually might be housed in this biology building or in the other Morse Hall, which we'll go to in just a second. But like I said, it's a great way. It's a lot of hands-on learning, and actually on that top floor, you actually need a special access card to even access a lot of those equipments up there for those kind of upper level biology students, which is super cool. And then I also want to mention before I talk about this stop as well that Western doubles as an outdoor sculpture garden, and we're actually in the top 15 outdoor sculpture gardens in the nation, which is super cool. So right now we're actually looking at the largest outdoor sculpture here on campus. And if you're up above looking at Western from down below, this is an exact replica of the San Juan Islands off the Bellingham Bay. So every mound represents an island, as you can see where the trees are, and then as you can see the red brick going through those mounds, and then also the blue brick on the very kind of outskirts of the mounds kind of represent the shallow water, and the red brick kind of represents the currents going through the different mounds. And so all over campus we have a whole bunch of different random things sticking out of the ground and different things like that, and they're all art and they're all sculptures, and it's all part of our outdoor sculpture garden, which is super cool. And then we also have an art exhibit as well, which will kind of go, we'll stop there as well on this tour, but they actually have a sculpture tour where you can kind of maneuver through and ask more in-depth questions about the sculptures here on campus. And then we have another question before we move along. Can I walk through the buildings on campus now? No, we actually encourage everyone to please stay home due to what's going on right now, and stay safe. And then we also have one more question before I move along as well. What is the security like here on campus? We have lots of different security precautions. We take security very, very serious here on campus. I'll kind of talk about 3 things with that. I'll mention that really fast here before we move along. We have the blue light system, and that's where there are blue poles all over campus, and basically there's a big button on there, and then you push the button, and within 90 seconds, so it's just over a minute, one of our campus police people will be there to assist you in any way that you may need, which is super great. And then also we also have student workers as well, the green coat systems, and they actually work for our on-campus police department. So we have a whole on-campus police department here dedicated for Western and Western students. And if you want to work for that, they're called the green coat systems, and they lock up buildings in the evening times. They can give you an escort around campus if you're not feeling safe. Sometimes students will study late into the night, maybe around 11:30 or midnight when the library closes. And if you're not safe walking to your car or wherever you're going, you can always call them, and they can be there to assist you and give you a ride or something like that, which is super cool. And those are great questions as well, once again, about our security precautions. And then connected via Skybridge from the biology building, we now have Morse Hall, which is our chemistry building. Very similar to the other building there. Like I said, on the bottom floor is a whole bunch of different lab space for students. Like I said, it's a great opportunity to get involved. A lot of hands-on learning going on in Morse Hall as well. And now we're looking at our Ross Engineering and Technology building here. All of our engineering majors and departments are located in this building. And like I said, I encourage you all to continue to ask questions. You know, if you see something that sticks out or anything like that, or any things that kind of, you know, pop to your mind, please ask those questions, and we're here to answer those questions. And so now we're looking at the SMATE building. This stands for Science, Math, and Technology Education. Like I said, on the bottom floor, there's a whole bunch of different lecture halls. And on the top floor, we actually have, if you can kind of see the circle dome area on the very top, that is our STEM library. And that was actually donated by Pinky Nelson, who was a former astronaut that lives right here in Bellingham, and he wanted to give towards STEM education, which is super cool. So a lot of our College of Education students that want to go into teaching STEM into the public schools or any schools K through 12, they have the opportunity of kind of practicing a lot of those hands-on learnings in that area, which is super, super awesome. And I also want to pause as well. We have another question. Are there blue light poles in parking lots too? There is. Yes, there's blue light poles all over campus, and then also surrounding the campus as well. We have a couple miles of trails, and that's called the Seaholm Arboretum, and that's co-owned by the city of Bellingham. And there's even poles all within the forest as well. So if you're walking in the forest maybe one evening and you're not feeling safe, you can always push the pole or push the button, and like I said, campus police can come up there and to assist you as well. So that's also a very good question. And now we're looking at the Fine Arts and Western Gallery. This is where our department is located here on campus. We also have industrial design. All of that's located in these buildings here. A cool thing about this building here is there's also an art gallery. So you can, if you're part of the art major, they display a lot of your works in this building as well, which is super fun. We have a lot of artists that maybe travel down to Seattle or traveling up to Vancouver. Typically, they'll stop into Bellingham and display their art for a lot of students, which is super fun. And on the basement here in this building, we also have an art vending machine. So that's where you can put in a couple dollars and it spits you out a very cool art piece, which is super awesome. And all that art is done by the students, and then all the proceeds from that should go back to the art department and those students, which is super fun as well. And we're going to turn around right across from the Fine Arts and Western Gallery. We have Carver Gym, and we're actually looking at an older image of Carver Gymnasium, and I believe that we are going to provide you a newer image of the building as well. But until that happens, I'll talk about this building as well. It looks completely different now because they, kind of struck this all down to its beams a couple years ago, and they kind of redid the whole building. So the new building, the entire front is full of glass, which is super fun. It's very modern looking, which is awesome. But if you go directly into the building and directly to the left, we have our athletic offices, and on the right side, we have our athletic hall of fame. We also have another on-campus eatery for students as well. And if you go directly into the building, straight ahead, we have our WeQ court, and that's where a lot of our varsity teams play, such as our boys and girls basketball. We also have volleyball. As mentioned, they were some of the top teams in the last 2 years, which is super awesome. And this is also where we hold our graduation ceremonies every quarter. So we have a graduation ceremony for every quarter here on campus, which is super cool. And like I said, you will graduate from Western on the WeQ court, which is super awesome. And then on the back side, I call that the more the academic side. That's where our kinesiology department is located. We also have a whole bunch of different lab spaces for the kinesiology department. There's also community health and physical education. There's also athletic training rooms and athletic study rooms. So if you're into athletics and you're coming here to play in one of our sports here at Western, you have the opportunity of using that facility, the athletic training room and the athletic study room as well. And like I said, it's all dedicated for athletes, which is super cool. I also want to pause here for a second and answer another one of our questions. It says, how eco-friendly is campus? And is there recycling, compost, renewable energy? Yes, so Western is very, very eco-friendly. A lot of our Huxley students are constantly putting in great efforts to make it as eco-friendly as possible. We actually banded all of our plastic water bottles here on campus. So you actually have to bring your own, your own water bottle. And we have a whole bunch of different water filling stations all over campus. And it's really cool when you fill your water bottle, it actually shows, how much you're saving, which is super cool. Only about 25% of our students drive to campus. It's all biking and walking friendly for students as well. So like I said, we're very eco-friendly. Recycling we take very serious as well, and then also like I said, a lot of those things are done by the Huxley students, but they're also working with the city of Bellingham as well to make sure that Bellingham is eco-friendly as possible as well. So all the bike lanes in downtown Bellingham are done by Huxley students, and a lot of just extra precautions that Bellingham has are done by Western students as well. So. And then now we are in Red Square. We like to say that almost every public university in Washington State has a Red Square, almost all of them. But here's our Red Square here. I'll talk about Red Square before we kind of go into the buildings. It's not the center. It's not the middle of campus, but it kind of feels like the middle of campus because this is where most of the traffic that rolls through campus goes right through Red Square here. I want to talk about our clubs as well. We have a huge club fair a couple days before school starts in the fall, and that's where all of our 300 plus clubs, I think we talked about a lot of those clubs in the panel, but we have over 300 plus clubs here on Western's campus, and anything from maybe a hiking club or a math club or like I said, I'm part of a professional development club, and they're all done through our associated students offices as well. So like I said, they're dealing with $1 million budget. The associated students, it's kind of like the ASB of high school, except in college. Like I said, you get to deal with $1 million budget, and they do all kinds of different things. They have all kinds of funding for students as well to start clubs. So if you see a club that you might not resonate with or something like that, you can get a whole bunch of friends together and start that club, which is super awesome. So all you have to do is write up a constitution and then maybe get eight or more friends together, and then you have a club, which is super awesome. So, and we've had students create clubs such as a Beyonce Appreciation Club or Eating Cereals and Watching Movies Club. So like I said, so many different opportunities for students to get involved. And like I said, there's over 300 plus clubs. And as mentioned with the club fair, they surround, we have a huge fountain, which you can't see right here. We call it the Fisher Fountain. But they surround the fountain with all hundreds of different tables, and that's a great way of meeting a lot of people. There's a lot of free food, bands going on, and then that's where you can sign up for a lot of those different clubs here on campus, which is super awesome. And now we're looking directly at Bond Hall. This is home to our math department, history department, and philosophy. On that top floor, as you can see all the windows going across the building there, that is our math tutoring center. So that's where you can drop in anytime that you would like, and there's always students in there willing to help you out with your math skills or tests or anything like that. And like I said, it's all dedicated for math. And so if you're really good at math, or you have a desire to teach math or something like that, or you want to help students in there with their math skills, that's a great place to get a job as well. And we're now looking at Miller Hall. And Miller Hall is home to our Woodring College of Education. Woodring is one of the oldest colleges. It is the oldest college here on campus. It's also one of our most prestigious colleges. Western was founded back in 1893 as a college of education. So that's one of our first colleges here on campus. It's located right here in this building. And we always like to say that if you've been in a public school or really any kind of school, I guess, here in the state of Washington, most likely you've had a teacher that came out of Woodring. We typically produce some of the largest amount of teachers in the state of Washington and Pacific Northwest as well. So, and that's Woodring College of Education. And then also we have our study abroad office in this building as well. We do an exit survey at the end of every student's kind of college career here on Western's campus. And the one thing that a lot of students wish they did was study abroad. And like I said, there are so many opportunities for students to study abroad. If you don't think you can do it, we highly advise you to go into the office in Miller Hall, which we're looking at, and talk to the advisors and counselors. I mean, they'll be willing to help you out and make sure that you get where you want to go, which is super cool. We've had students studying in Antarctica. I mean, I had a roommate that was in Nepal. I had another friend that was in France, and like I said, you can go for 2 weeks in the summer, you can go for an entire year, you can even go for just a quarter. So many opportunities. And then also we have our foreign and classical languages also located here in Miller Hall. And this is Fraser Hall. We'll just do a quick stop here. This is just a large, a whole bunch of different large lecture halls. You might have various classes in this building. I've had a geology class in this building. I've had a philosophy class in this building. It all varies. And then also we hold a lot of different lecture series and different forums as well. We have a lot of different forums here on campus where students can kind of speak their voices about various topics to staff and faculty. And I also want to encourage you as well, if you have any more questions or anything that speaks to you or looks out to you that you want to ask about, please ask those questions, and we'll be here to answer those. And we're now looking at our two libraries here. I'll talk about the left side and then the right side next. So the left side here, we do have Haggard Hall. I like to call that more of our technical side of the library. That's more of our newer part here in the library. And in Haggard Hall, we have our technology center. We also have a writing studio as well. The technology center, that's where you can check out a whole bunch of different laptops. You can use their desktops as well. There's a printing services. There's also a poster printing services, all for students, which is super great. And then also, as mentioned, we do have a writing studio as well. So that's when you can go in and, there's a whole bunch of students willing to help you with your essays. I've gotten a lot of help doing that as well. I think it's really saved me a couple times. And if you're really good at writing, if you have incredible writing skills, and that's your passion, you can get a job there as well. I also want to mention as well, we have over, I believe it's like, I want to say it's over 3,000 different jobs for students here on campus. And like I said, you can work in the recreation center. You can be a tour guide like myself and my other colleagues. And like I said, you can work in the financial aid office. Any department most likely has a student working for them. And like I said, the writing center is just another one of those on-campus jobs that you can get paid to help students with their writing skills and looking over their essays, which is super cool. And on the bottom floor, as mentioned, like I said, it's very more of our technology side of the campus. We do have an ATUS office, and they're in charge of all the accounts and computers and everything and all that good stuff here on campus. So if your computer breaks or you want to check out a laptop or maybe even a nice camera or drone or something, like not a drone, but maybe like those cameras, can't think of them at the moment, where they strap to you and you can go on adventures. Like I said, all of that's in the ATUS checkout room and the ATUS office. And then as well, as you're maybe transitioning into Western, if you have any questions about your account, or you can't find something or anything like that, feel free to call the A2S office and they'll be able to help you out with that. And on the right side, as you can kind of see, connected via Skybridge is our Wilson Library, and that is our more traditional side of the library. It was one of the first buildings built here on campus, which is super cool. If you go in, it kind of gives that old feeling. I love it with the big staircases, which is super awesome. We also have a cafe called Zoe's Bagels in there as well. That's where you can check out a nice bagel or, design your own bagel. They have various options for you, and it also doubles as a cafe, so you can get coffee with friends. Basically, on the bottom floor of the library, I like to call that the social hub of campus. That's where a lot of students are hanging out in between classes, doing group projects. There's a whole bunch of study rooms in there as well. So like I said, that's all in the Wilson Library and Haggard Hall as well. And then also want to mention, we do have a drop-in tutoring center in the Wilson Library for math and science entry-level GUR classes. And that's a great, great resource for our students. I think it's one of the greatest resources on campus. And basically all you do is drop in between I think they're open around 9 a.m. and close around 9 p.m. And there's always students on call willing to help you out with anything that you may need. Even if you just want to go in there and be in a setting where a lot of students are working, that's a great place to go and do your homework. And like I said, if you have a question, raise your hand. A student will come assist you in anything that you may need. And then also, we do have a lot of the keys to all of the textbooks for those math and science GUR classes in there. So if you want to check your answers, that's a great resource as well. And I want to pause again before we move on to our next stop. What kind of tutoring is there? Yeah, so I basically kind of went over that a little bit. There's tutorings for each department here on campus. So in Miller Hall, there's tutoring for foreign language in Miller Hall. There's tutoring for there's history tutors as well, and they're usually posted in each in each building to where that department is. So like if you need a tutor for maybe computer science or a tutor for math, typically they have drop-in tutoring, but then there's also like a contact information for private tutors, which we also have as well. So many tutoring options, and we really highly advise you to take advantage of these resources because they're basically here for you. So if you need any help, feel free to reach out to those tutors. And also if you're having trouble finding those tutors or something like that, feel free to call your department or the department where you're trying to get help in, and they'll be able to direct you to the right maybe email or phone number or something like that. So great question. And now we're looking at the PAC. We call it the PAC. The actual name is the Performing Arts Center. So where our theater major is located. We also have drama and music departments also located in this building as well. We have a beautiful concert hall. We also have a gigantic theater in this building also. And then under us is dozens of practice rooms. And then we're looking directly, if you look up with all the windows there, that is our music library dedicated for all of the music students here on campus, which is super cool. And in this building and out of these departments, there's over 300 different productions. So, plays and all kinds of different musicals. If you have friends that are part of those, or if you want to be in part of those, we highly suggest you go and attend. A lot of them are audition based, which is super awesome. And a cool thing, it's kind of like being a part of the journalism department. You actually do not have to be a part of these departments to be a part of, say, maybe a musical ensemble or a theater production. All you have to do is just audition for it, which is super cool. So if you are a math major and you really have a desire to still play your instrument, that's a great place to go and maybe just audition and be a part of an ensemble, which is super great. So, and I also want to pause. We have another question that came in. Are there any classes inside Miller Hall? Yes, there are lots of different classrooms inside Miller Hall. Miller Hall is basically mostly just classrooms. Like I said, Woodring's held in there as well. So it's a whole bunch of different office spaces, but there's lots of different classrooms. I wish we could see inside Miller Hall, but there is a very cool, if you walk directly in the Miller Hall, it kind of has an outside-inside kind of feel to it. We call it the fishbowl, and that's where it's a whole bunch of different, it's a glass area where students can go in and study, and then we host different events in there as well. And there's also another cafe. So like I said, you're no more than 1 or 2 minutes away from caffeine or food. So that's another one of our cafes is also in Miller Hall. So another great question. And actually, to be honest, one of my favorite classrooms are in Miller Hall because they have the really old school windows where they have the gigantic windows that kind of looks over at various things, which is super cool. So. And now we're looking at the Viking Union, and the Viking Union actually has 7 floors. We're on the 6th floor right now. I'll talk about the 7th floor, and then we'll go down from there. So on the 7th floor, we have Cugs 89.7. That's our on-campus radio station. It's actually the most listened to radio station in Whatcom County. So Bellingham is in Whatcom County, and it's actually the most listened to radio station in Whatcom County, which is super cool. And if you have a desire for broadcasting, you actually don't have to be a part of maybe broadcasting concentration or major or journalism or anything like that. All you have to do is just take an entry-level class and you can be a part of that, which is super cool. And it's all student-driven. So like I said, there's always students in there playing their favorite musics, reading podcasts, not podcasts, but maybe reading books or doing something like that, which is super great. And then on this main floor, if you walk directly in, we have an incredible view of the Bellingham Bay and downtown Bellingham and the mountains surrounding the city as well. And there's also a Panda Express, some more on-campus eateries. There's also a Subway and another cafe as well. So like I said, lots of cafes here on campus. And before we move along with the Viking Union, I'll answer these questions as well. Can students reserve practice space in the PAC? Absolutely. And from my understanding, I believe that they are open almost 24 hours. So, which is really, really awesome. So you can use the facility anytime that you would like. So any of those practice rooms, and you don't have to be a part of the music department to be in those practice rooms. If you have a speech for maybe a communications class or a presentation, just reserve one of those rooms, and you can have a space for yourself or for your team to rehearse. So, which is super cool. And then also back to the Viking Union here, below this 6th floor here, we have a lot of our associated student offices, and then we also have the Dean of Students offices located as well. So as mentioned, the AS is kind of like the ASB of high school. So that's where we have a president, just a student body president. We also have several different vice presidents from representing various kind of communities and assets here on campus, which is super cool. So feel free to drop into those offices, and then you can be able to talk with them or voice your opinions or things or anything like that, which is super cool. There's also a food bank down in there as well that you can check out. And then below that, we do have an underground coffee house as well. So it's kind of modeled after Central Perk, which is super cool. You walk in there, and there's Mitch Mac furniture. There's also a stage where you can do poetry. We have open mic nights, so a lot of students do poetry, read poetry, and then they also have bands that'll perform there as well. It's actually the only place on campus to get pie as well, so I think it's a very fun fact to know that. And then there's also in this building lots of different spaces where you can reserve for maybe club meetings or anything like that. We actually had a Friendsgiving with my club, and we actually rented a huge room here in the Viking Union, which is super awesome. And you can do that all through the Associated Students website, which is super great. And then on the very, very bottom floor, as we mentioned it before, I believe Robert mentioned it, but we do have an outdoor center as well, which is super awesome. And that's a great way of getting outdoors. And there's a whole bunch of different expeditions that we have. We have students that will go kayaking in the Bellingham Bay. We also have an area where you can check out snowshoes or skis, or we also lead expeditions up to Mount Baker, which is only an hour away from town as well. So there's lots of great resources, and you'll be paying no more than $30 for that facility, which is super awesome. So, and then also to tag along with that, I want to mention we do have a Lakewood facility on Lake Whatcom, where you can go sailing. There's also our rowing team kind of goes out there as well and practices out there. So a lot of different opportunities to get outdoors, which is super great. And then also I want to pause for a second before our next stop and answer the next question. Can you explain Viking dollars really quickly? Yes, absolutely. So with when you're living on campus, you get a meal plan, which I'll kind of talk about here in a second, but I'll talk about Viking dollars. And with that meal plan, basically you get, I think it's about $80 on your Western ID card. And those are your Viking dollars, and you can use that on any of the on-campus eateries here on campus. So if you want a quick snack on the way to class, we have a whole bunch of different markets. You just swipe your Western ID and it pulls from that, which is super cool. And a lot of those Viking dollars actually roll over. So if you don't use them all, no worries with that. You can still use them for the next quarter as well. We actually had a tour guide that didn't realize that they rolled over, and I believe when she was at the end of the year, she had over $300 worth of Viking dollars, which was pretty funny. So I think she bought everybody coffee that day. But like I said, those are Viking dollars. You can just use them for all of the on-campus eateries. And I also want to mention too, I did not mention that we did just reconstruct, or not reconstruct, we just constructed our multicultural center, which was also in the Viking Union as well. And it's just, enormous facility on top of our bookstore right there in the Viking Union. It was just opened up at the beginning of this year, and a lot of students have been lobbying for that, working with administration for the past, I want to say decade, so the past maybe 10 plus years actually, to get that done. We have dozens of ethnic student clubs here on campus, and it used to be in the bottom floor of the Viking Union in just a small little room, and now they have a space where they can meet for various clubs. They can also rehearse for heritage dinners, as mentioned, that we have, and it's just a great safe space for students to go and interact with each other. There's also printing services in there, computers. There's also a kitchen where you can make lunch and all kinds of great things. So, and that was back in the Viking Union. And if you'd like to see a photo of that, feel free to go onto the website, our school website, and you'll be able to kind of check out what that actually looks like. And then also want to mention really quickly, we do have several different eating common areas as well. We have North Campus, kind of the North Campus eatery is the Viking Commons, which we're looking at right now. There's also one on the Ridge, which we'll visit here in a second. And then also there is one way on the south end of campus in our Fairhaven complex. And we're now looking at Eden's Hall, and then across the street there, I think we clicked a little too fast, but across the street we do have Mathis Hall and Nash Hall, and then also connected to Eden's is Eden's North, and then we also have Higginson Hall as well, and these are all of our North Campus dorms. You can live anywhere on campus that you would like. Eden's Hall here, and you'll hear about it in a little bit with our honors program presentation. Those of you who will stick around for that. But in Eden's Hall, it's mostly just our honors students that live in this dormitory. It was the first dorm that was built here on campus. And then across the street, like I said, we have Math and Nash's, and those are the dorms I think that everyone sees on the flyers with kind of looks over the bay and everything. I'm going to talk to you briefly about housing here on campus as well. I think we touched on a lot of different things about housing, but we do have two types of dorms here on campus. We have the traditional dorms, which most people are familiar with the hall style, where you have each long hallway with the bathroom on each floor there, and then also in the community bathroom, so everyone uses that bathroom. And then we also have our suite style, and that's where you have the bathroom in the middle with the two dorms that share that bathroom. And the thing about the hall style, those are cleaned twice a day by the university, whereas the suite style is cleaned once a quarter by the university. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. And every dorm, every floor actually has a resident advisor, and every dorm has a resident director as well, which is super awesome. And basically they are there as a big brother, big sister person for you to make sure your transition to college is smooth, and also to keep you accountable for your actions. So if you're making a lot of noise in the middle of the night or something like that, they'll come in, knock on your door to make sure everything's okay as well, maybe give you a warning and all that good stuff. But like I said, they put on lots of different events for students to kind of build that community within dorm life, which is super awesome. And then also, you're not required to live on campus as a freshman. You're never required to live on campus. But when you do, you are required to have a meal plan, as mentioned before. And we have various meal plans. They range from, you can get a meal plan where you're eating, once an hour, whereas you can get another meal plan where you're eating maybe once a day. So like I said, there's several different meal plan options. And with that, like I said, within our dining halls, we have several different options for students as well. We have, vegetarian options. We have, if you want to eat hamburgers and fries every day, that's an option for you as well. We have salad bars, all kinds of great things. And you don't just have to eat in one dining commons. So you can also eat in the north, the Viking Commons. You can also go up to the Ridge or Fairhaven, either one. And you can look at those menus online as well to kind of see, what they're having for that day or week or so on. And then also, if you have very strict dietary restrictions, you can kind of communicate that with the chef, and they'll be able to make you kind of accommodate for your dietary restrictions. And there's always different things posted on the foods, like this contains nuts, or this doesn't, or this contains gluten, all that good stuff. So because we want to make sure that we accommodate for students as much as possible. I have a nut allergy, which I try to make sure I'm paying attention to. And every time I go to the comments area, they always post that, which is super, super awesome and convenient as well. And now we're looking at our ridge dorms here. This is just one of many, many dorms located up here on the ridge. And as mentioned, there's just a whole bunch of dorms way up on the ridge. It's really cool. It's like you're living in the trees, which is super awesome. And there's a whole bunch of different pathways that go through campus. And it's kind of in the middle of campus, but it's kind of up on a hill as well. So it's kind of a cardio workout to walk up there every day. But like I said, just another one of our on-campus dorms. And now we're looking at our Fairhaven complex as well. These are part of our South Campus dorms. And then also Fairhaven College of Interdisciplinary Studies is located down in here as well. And Western has 7 colleges that make up Western. And you've heard me mention a few of those colleges. And Fairhaven is just another one of those colleges. And with this college, basically you kind of just design it's a kind of a non-traditional style of learning there. You kind of design your own different major or concentration, and they actually don't use the regular letter system. So if you have any more questions about Fairhaven, please feel free to ask one of our students throughout the day as well, and they'll be able to kind of go in depth with that as well. So. And now we're looking at Buchanan Towers, and these are a mixture of hall style and suite style dorms as well. Kind of our newer style dorms. They're actually building a brand new dorm up on the ridge, but as of right now, this is our newer dorms built here on campus. A lot of them were just recently renovated, which is super awesome. And it's on the very, very south end of campus. So if you're driving up to campus on Bill McDonald, this is one of the first buildings that you'll see here at Western. And also want to mention we can't see it from here, but further down the road we do have our Burnham Wood transitional dorms as well. So those are kind of like an apartment style, mostly for upperclassmen there. So you can't live there as a freshman, but mostly upperclassmen stay there. They kind of have a little kitchen area and a little kind of like a living room area as well. So, and that can be an option for you. And then we're going to end our tour today, our virtual tour, talking about Old Main as well. Old Main is, I like to say, this is our poster shot here. This is where you'll see it on our postcards and all kinds of great things. But this is Old Main is the original building here built here on campus. As mentioned, Western was founded back in 1893, but the building was constructed in 1899. And so that's, it's a very, very old building, which is super awesome. I love old things, so I love walking through here. It's our administrative building, and so when you walk through, there's a whole bunch of different administrative offices. We have our president's office located in here as well, the admissions office, so that's where I work at the front desk, and also where a lot of the staff that you saw today came out of are in the admissions office. And then we also have the student business office where you pay your tuition and books and all that good stuff. So, or not books, but just a lot of various account information is in the student business office. And there's also a few classrooms in this building as well. So like I said, that's all in this building here. And we also have a very cool tradition where when you come to Western, the afternoon or evening before the first day of school, we do a big, huge opening convocation in the Performing Arts Center. And then you walk across the Old Main lawn, and the president will stand right there at the steps, and you'll kind of put in like a time capsule thing, which is really cool. So we're all about really cool traditions here at Western, and that's just one of our really cool traditions. And I want to wrap up kind of telling you all about why I chose to go to Western. As mentioned, I didn't grow up here in Bellingham. I grew up in a small town in Georgia. And so I moved here when I was a sophomore in high school, but I would always hear my dad and my grandpa talk about, I never got to meet my great grandma, but I would always hear my dad and grandpa talk about, their stories of Western and how, they enjoyed it so much, and they all became teachers, and their 4+ years here at Western were just super unique, and the community they built, and a lot of the friends that my dad has, I want to say 25 to 30 years later since he's been here, are still some of his closest friends to this day. And so I really wanted that community. We have about 16,000 students here on campus. But it feels as if it's much, much smaller. You're constantly meeting new people, but then again, you're developing an incredible community that you'll keep for the rest of your life. So, and that's one of the things I wanted for my college experience, and that's one of the big reasons why I chose Western. So thank you all so much for joining us here today for this very, very unique tour. It's been an incredible opportunity interacting with you all. It's very cool that we have this set up and have this opportunity for students to still interact virtually. So like I said, thank you. Please hang around and explore resources on our student admitted student day page, which is really, really cool. And then also follow our Western account. We have students working that account all day, and feel free to interact with them. Ask them as many questions. Ask them a lot of hard questions too. I mean, they're there for you as well. And then also we follow our WW Housing on Instagram and our WW Admissions on Snapchat. And like I said, we're interacting with students all day. And then as well, if you have any more questions, our Western is always running throughout the year. So there'll be different people from the Western community talking and trying to engage with students from all around the state. So thank you all so much, and go Vikings, and I wish you the best of luck in your search process.